Hello and welcome to another Sunday night of miniature painting. Today we will actually be continuing a little bit on the Perdita crew, even though I mostly finished them up last week, or at least this Wednesday. But the miniatures I painted for the Perdita crew were the ones I've been playing with for the past, I don't know, however long it's taken me to kind of get a feel for how Malifaux plays as a game. So what I wanted to do was to add a few more of the models that she can use, Perdita, on her crew. So we have 3 Pistoleros, whatever they are called. Basically gunfighters, gun shooters. And also want to apologize for being a little bit late tonight, but that is because I just had to finish up the Sentinel Highlight on these pretty little boys here. And well, that just took a little bit longer than, well, not longer than anticipated actually. Just I just got started too late. So actually including, yeah, Avon, very cute, cool models. So also I just need to close my door because I have an echo here. There we go. There's a small hallway outside my door and it just echoes like crazy. But anyway, the Pistoleros. Cheap models used in the game. They basically have guns and they run. That's all they do. And this one here, it's got this lovely cape that I figured I would actually, since it goes on here, and he has all the details on the back with his hands. Come on, camera focus. I actually want to do I think it's called sub-assembly painting, when you paint them before you actually put them all the way together. So yeah. So anyway, I'm trying to do that at the moment. Or well, I'll do that with him. We have the third Pistolero here. Really are cool models. And as you can see, I've tried doing a fairly aggressive Sentinel Highlight, meaning that I've actually started by painting it all black, obviously, as is usually what you do with Sentinels. Then I gave it a fairly quick, just gray mid-tone, and then finally a whole bunch of white from above. So basically the idea is you should see almost only white here. I cheat a little bit on the cape because it will make it look a lot more like it flows if you do the Sentinel down here. These final 2 here, they are monster hunters. I don't think I'll get started on those today, but I think this guy here is one awesome, badass looking beast of a man. And he is sometimes accompanied by an awful beast of a woman. This one here. Hey, Modifian. Oh yeah, his butt. Of course, we'll do another butt shot for Modifian. What do you say? Tight buns. Well, Modifian, you can always ask. And I will show any part of the miniature you want to see. You can't really see her butt because of her flowing skirts. But again, lots of white from above, lots of black from below, and yeah, that should be interesting to get to painting those. As you can see, I've also mounted the models here on a piece of cork. The reason I do this is because I want to try something new when I'm doing the bases for them. And I actually want to do the bases without the miniatures on them. And also want to use the cork to raise it a little bit up from the wider base. Hopefully making it easier for me to, well, literally paint up her skirt. But we'll see how it goes. I also haven't fully decided on the color scheme for the monster hunters here. So they will be put to the side for now. So we'll be working on these 3 Pistoleros to see what we can do. Now, the basic color scheme I've used so far for the Perdita crew has been sort of a khaki green, brown, and dark brown for their coats, and a lot of red for sort of special details, shirts, and so on. I'm not entirely sure how to do that on these guys here. But I guess it's just a matter of starting with one of them and see where we end. This guy, I just love this guy's stance. I mean, he's just standing there, arms out to either side, just doing the whole "I own this place," you know, cape billowing out behind him. If you didn't know better, you would almost think he was a superhero, but generally speaking, he's just a little git. So those are the plans for today. Let's put these on some. Let's actually do this. Put them on some painting handles so we can get started. So, how has everyone's weekend been? Have you done anything fun, anything cool? Hey Rex, how's it going? We'll be painting up these guys here. Or maybe failing at painting them. You never know. It'll be fun to see how many of my paints have clogged up again. Hey Bill! Good to see you. Well, that's fine. You go do your work. It's important. Keep everyone safe. Appreciate it. Oh, but you should have been here when I wasn't streaming then, Rex. Rex wants to see me glue my fingers together. I just collected, also assembled a bunch of minis earlier today and primed them. But yeah, maybe next time. So let's see. Let's just dive right in. Basically, I think I'll be doing the khaki pants on these ones here. It seems to be something that would work. With the what I always consider when doing the color scheme on a model. Well, I rarely plan out the entire color scheme before painting. Hey, Em, good to see you. Are you getting ready for tonight's board game? Now, but as I said with the color schemes, what I try to do is to stick to at least a basic color scheme. So, and see if it actually works. And like on these guys here, I'm doing the khaki for basically for the pants, brown leather or light brown leather for stuff like boots and various other stuff they might be wearing. And then I use a dark brown for the coat and a red for fine details like not only fine details but also for straps and for gun belts, holsters, things like that. Mr. Shaz Reader comments out loud, "Oh, well, that's just because I know you're there, Modivian." I mean, it's one thing what people say in chat, but my ass on the line if I start saying what you say. Which reminds me, I still haven't gotten the continuation of your Dark and Stormy Night story. I feel very cheated. So yeah. So basically the colors we're going for are khaki, light brown, dark brown, and red. And then whatever I feel like for their hair, face, and stuff like that. And I am also, well, I'm not happy to let you know that I actually played with these, well, the other ones I painted, Perdita and the other ones, this Friday. And I got so completely and utterly beaten in every way possible. That was so much fun. Basically, I lost the game 6-3 So my opponent got 6 points, I got 3. And he annihilated my entire crew. Every single model killed. So that was pretty much a clean sweep. But the tipping point was around turn 3. Up until then, it was actually looking like I still had a chance. I completely misplayed a few things in the beginning, so I'm fine with losing. It wasn't bad luck or anything like that. It was just me doing all the wrong things and my opponent doing some very good things and having put together a really good crew. So yeah. But it was still a very fun game, and I could still actually, even at the end when I didn't have many miniatures left, it was simply because he had 2 things that went correct, or that went completely well for him at the end. Otherwise I would have scored 1, maybe 2 points more and have landed at either 6-4 or 6-5, which is pretty close. But then at that point I only had 2 modelers left and he had most of his team. But yeah, Rick says that I'm starting to sound like Corpse. I got beaten bad and it was fun. Yep, well, that's how it is. I mean, it's all about having fun doing the games you play. It is, of course, you play to win. Of course you do. Or you don't. Sometimes you don't. That's also fun. But you can always have fun with games even when you're losing, because it's not, for me at least, it's not about did I win or not. I don't want to win. Definitely don't want to win at all costs. Like, you know, people who cheat at games, I don't think they win, because I mean, you're cheating, so you didn't play the game. Played another game and won there. But for me, it's about having fun. It's about playing with friends, or at least cool people if you're playing tournaments and don't know the people, but they are potential friends. It's just having fun. Enjoying the stories you can tell throughout the games. Like, let's see, what fun did we have Friday? Well, we did have a very fun moment when a beer I opened more or less exploded on me. So that was a fun story. Also kind of a loss, but having fun. Now it was an overaged beer that had been lying around for way too long. But it's a good beer. It tastes really well. So I wanted my friend to have a taste. But it did trigger an impromptu floor cleaning in the middle of our game. That's what happens. Always play to win, says Bohan, but I seldom take the obvious part. Great Scott Minis, hello, Great Scott, welcome. I'm just painting up some miniatures for the skirmish game Malifaux, and ranting on about how it's always fun to play the game, even when you lose. So welcome. Yeah, losing can be great fun because you can lose in so spectacular ways that it's sometimes funny. Okay, see, this one here might also have been a good candidate for painting before gluing on the cape, because I have a feeling that it's going to be a little bit tricky painting the pants behind his scarf and the cape. But anyway, we will just do our best. So we had some fun with the game, and that's one of the fun parts, as always, when playing with Perdita's crew, is having the guy called Papa Loco, who is basically straight out of an insane asylum, I think early 1900s style asylum. And oh yeah, and Great Scott, don't be shy. Let us know who you are and what you're doing, what projects you're working on. I'm guessing you're painting minis of some kind. So So yeah, no, but Papa Loco has the fun thing that, well, losing isn't fun in itself, says Warhand, but you can have fun while losing. Yeah, and that's probably a better way of saying it, because it's not the losing part itself that's fun. Then you would play to get that experience. But even when losing, I still find, especially Malifaux, to be an incredibly fun game to play, because so much happens. Like when I decided that I could not win this game, and I would probably have my entire crew, or at least most of it, killed. I just gave myself some other objectives. Great Scott is working on getting some bases ready for some resin print experiments you did yesterday. Oh, that sounds cool. I have not, probably never will, gone out into 3D printing models. I think it's a really cool thing. Would be a cool thing to be doing, but I have way too many other things that I don't do, so I don't need to add, another entry to that list. That's I will leave that to someone else and just sit here and be jealous. So you're debating whether you want someone to print your minis for me or do it yourself. So yeah, so do you have a printer already, or are you looking into it, or what? Are you considering any specific printers? Okay, so I've always had this issue in miniature paintings that even though I can see an area, I can't always get my paintbrush to hit it, and that kind of confuses me, because if my eye can see it in a straight line, then why can't I get my brush in there? And of course, part of the reason is probably that my hands are shaking so much. That will explain some of it. Okay, so you've got, Great Scott says you've got a 3D printer and print every now and then. You just test the cleanup of the scaffolding. Yeah, the scaffolding, is that the support pieces to avoid the miniature collapsing while printing? A bit like having to cut a molded mini out of the sprue and stuff like that. Yeah, so the supports. See, I know a little bit about the terminology. But yeah, I would imagine that's a big... That's a lot of work, I guess, more than cutting them out of sprues. And then, of course, you also have cleaning up the printer itself. That also takes some time, I guess. I only know from what I've heard from other people and seen in YouTube videos, but it seems like there's a lot of work on that as well. Yeah, that will have to do. As I always say, I don't paint display quality, I paint tabletop ready minis. And Great Scott continues saying that it's a bit messy and takes away from painting for sure, the supports on the 3D models, but they are great details on minis and they're cheap monetarily. That's true. And since I'm living in the EU, in Denmark to be precise, I have problems with ordering from sites like Hero Forge, because they'll come from the US, which makes shipping horrible, but also because if it gets above what, $12-13 for the items, then you have to pay not only import taxes, which I'm fine with, that's just how it is, but you also have to pay a fee to the carrier that handles your package, and that fee is at about 20 something dollars, just quick head conversion. So adding that to an already high shipping cost means that ordering from the US or the UK, now that they've left, so it gets so expensive really quick. So when I order something from the US, I either make sure that it's below that minimum of about $12-13 if I can. Like maybe stat cards for Malifaux, for instance. I've got an order out for those, so I can throw away my horribly printed ones that I use at the moment. And it's fine printing them. All the stat cards are available for free from the company that creates Malifaux, so no baddie there. But I just like having the glittered print, and you can actually cram in about 22 cards in those $12 and still be on the safe side. I think it's $50 a piece, and then to make absolutely sure, with currency values and all that, just trying to make sure to not go above it. Instead of going for the full 24, just go for 22 or so. Whatever, that is irrelevant. That is just me ranting, as promised. But I had a point with that. Oh yeah, so that would be the 3D printer. Because buying miniatures from places like Hero Forge or whatever would just be insanely expensive, since I would effectively quickly either pay a lot of shipping to have them sent in separate packages, or do the whole handling fee, and then it just gets way more expensive than buying not proper other miniatures and just living with that. And of course, buying a printer would eliminate the problem completely. But then I have the cost of the printer, but also the time needed to get to know it and working with it, cleaning up both the miniatures that I printed and removing the supports and all that, cleaning up the printer after printing and all those things. And I am, as people who know me will readily agree to, I am not the most motivated cleaner in the world. Let's put it like that. I prefer just making things to cleaning up after making things. So yeah. So in other news on the game front, I always stumble across these projects that I somehow can't say no to for various reasons. And one of the ones I got myself thrown into over the weekend is teaching my 11-year-old nephew and some of his friends to play Dungeons & Dragons. Good old D&D, well, the new D&D. Totally my own fault, because I actually gave him the starter set. I went down to my sister this weekend. She lives a few hours away, so I don't see them that much. And I gave him the starter set as a late Christmas gift, because I didn't get to see them around Christmas because of the COVID situation here. So yeah, so I'm trying to teach him, and I just love the way children are with these things, because he called me up today at around noon saying, "Hey, do you have time to play today?" And I just went, I would love to, but no. But yeah, it'll happen. Maybe tomorrow night or later this week, depending on when he and his friends can play. So that's an interesting challenge. And actually, I think 11 years old is exactly how old I was when I started playing role-playing games, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. So that's a good age to start. And 30 years from now, he will hopefully remember how his uncle completely messed it up for him and his friends. Yep. No, Modifian, I will not be streaming 11-year-old children. I'm not even sorry to say that I will not be doing that. I am quite pleased to say that I will not be doing that. That is way beyond what I want to get involved in. So yeah. But Modifian, just let me know when you want me to teach Ellie to play. Oh yeah, kids are hilarious, I know that. But just in this day and age, I think it would raise too many eyebrows and issues and problems. So yeah. So there is that. Let's table that discussion for now. But as I said, when Ellie wants to start playing D&D, just let me know and I will be there. In person or through a webcam or whatever is possible at the time. Okay, so I really love this, the color that I'm using here. I really love the tone, but it is so horribly crappy at covering up the underlying things. And it's not just, you know, the Sentinel highlighting that I want to shine through. It's just I don't want to look at like it's kind of sort of an attempt at camouflage pads, because the paint really just, I don't know, kind of separates. Well, not really separates, but just gets sort of, when it goes on the surface, kind of gets lumpy. So yeah, Modifian writes, yes, I will be her daughter's DM, and I will hold you to that. If you time it right, we can get Elias's daughter started at the same time. Oh yeah, Sparky. But I mean, Ellie do have a few years, almost 3 years in Sparky, so I don't know, probably get her started sooner. Okay, so what to do color scheme wise on this? Well, maybe I should just start by painting his pants all the way through. Or finish painting them or whatever. I am not a native English speaker. Do not hold my bad grammar against me. No, but Modifian C, you're missing something here. Ellie will be watching you play when we go to your place to play. Or when you play through a webcam, which I think might actually make sense because, you know, cutting down transportation time is not a bad idea. Trying to get your wife to divorce me? Yes, of course I am. I mean, how else can I be both of yours hussy at the same time? I mean, come on. I need to figure out what to do about his coat. What color to give it. This guy here. Because it looks like the cape that I want to do the dark brown on is not really a part of his coat. Maybe it is. If I did that, that would just be cheating. Cool. Great, Scott. I've been playing D&D minis. That is awesome. Yeah, I mean, in this guy, it's a little bit more clear. It looks like the cape is separate. And the cape and the collar can't be. Okay, guys, I need a little help here. What the hell is what on these models? Because I don't want, my plan is to, I don't even have the other miniatures up here. My plan is to do all of this with contrast colors. Cyan, yeah, Modifian, no. Basically do a, just to the contrast colors to paint, like I did on the other models, and the hat and the cloak. But on the other ones, they had the coat, a large coat on as well. But these guys here, seem to have the coat all closed, and then it would be way too much dark brown on them. Or maybe it isn't. Maybe it actually isn't. You know what? I think that's what we're gonna do, and we'll. I mean, it can't go worse than horribly wrong, can it? Famous last words. So yeah, this looks like a coat as well, and then he has a shirt on underneath. I'll do this, make the shirt and the scarf. Well, more pants I've missed. See, Modifian, I forgot to paint his butt. Did I forget that on him? No, I did not. So, on to more fun things. Thanks, Rex. So that means... that means red, which is here. And for once, my scale color red did not. This one here, I've been complaining for the past 2 or 3 streams that it keeps clogging up in between streams or in between painting sessions, but this time it didn't. I am obviously quite pleased by that. So, oh yeah, what you cannot see as usual is that I'm mixing up paints and thinning paints over on my wet palette. Didn't have room for it in shot. Just to show again, I always make a mess of things like this. But let's just get the red ready to paint. I mean, some people will ready all of these things before painting, so they have everything mixed up and just go straight to it. But as I said, I kind of like to just do it as I go along. I don't know if that makes me more impulsive than planning, but I don't care. I don't care because Rex believes in me, and that is important. So yeah, but anyway, I will be teaching my nephew to play D&D, and basically when I already started thinking about what kind of adventures to run, and that's probably gonna be pretty easy. A little bit of fighting. I'm trying to get them to actually do a lot of role playing, so it's not just an advanced board game kind of thing. Because that's the way I prefer playing these games myself. So naturally, that's what I want to spread. But we'll see what they prefer and just adjust it to that, obviously. But it's gonna get a lot. It looks like it's gonna be a lot of red here, but I will actually be covering some of it up with a lighter brown pretty soon. So no worries on that account. So what I've been thinking about is, I mean, they're only kids, and I like to throw in slightly scary stuff for my players when I play with them, like creepy horror themes and things like that. And I'm guessing that's not really a good place to start with the kids until I get to know them better, to see if they can actually handle and maybe even like those kind of themes. I mean, maybe they think it'll just be fun with a ghost story, but I'm also thinking, graphical violence should be basically just skipped. I'm not even gonna say kept at a minimum, because I think a minimum would still be too much. So I'm planning on doing stuff like saying you swing your axe and hit the troll and it collapses on the ground, period. Whereas with my normal playing group, I would maybe describe a little bit more about what happens to its entrails and exactly who is hit by said entrails. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. Guess time will tell. So yeah, so that's a little bit about what I've been doing lately. Now, on a lot of these models, I've actually also painted, the straps and stuff like that red. But I think that's just going to be way too much for this guy here. I'll just do the gun holster at the back. I'll do that red as well, because that's going to be covered by the cape anyway. So, yes, it doesn't matter much what color it is. But let's just get some kind of color that is not white in here. I think that's the key to this miniature here. Yeah, I think that's it for him. Oh, Tone Deaf Corpse. Hey guys, thanks for dropping by. Thanks for the raid. Nice to see more wonderful people show up here. So yeah, okay, so this is where it gets a little complicated with his art. We'll just wing it. It's fine. It's fine. It's all fine. So, Corpse, what are you up to? We talked about you earlier. And Tone Deaf. Hot Jam. Well, that is cool. Not actually, personally, not much of a jam person myself, unless it's game jams. So we'll just see. Tone Deaf with the raid, yeah. So much fun. You're so lovely people. Oh, well, I actually don't have that steady hands Tone Deaf. They're usually quite shaky, but I've learned to use all the tricks. One of the tricks being having, a firm surface table to rest my wrists on. Another is to actually somehow touch both hands together, because then they won't be shaking out of key. But if I just try and, I don't know if you can see it on stream, just try to hold my hand here. It's not very steady, but once I support it, one hand on the table and the other one, putting the wrists together. Yeah, that's a close-up of my hairy hands. Or just using the heavy painting handles. It all adds just a little bit of steadiness. So that helps a lot. I'm also using a lamp with a built-in magnifying glass, which means that I can actually see a lot clearer what goes on. Painting my nails. Well, that kind of happened earlier when I was airbrushing. So, well, maybe not the nails, but it often happens. And yes, I have gotten funny comments from co-workers showing up, the day after a painting session. And even though acrylics are water soluble, it takes a little bit more than just normal soap and water to actually get all of it off. Especially on the nails. They actually, once they're there, it's it's pretty tough. The praying hands, well, that explains why mine are not steady at all. Never was much for praying. I'm a bigger fan of getting things done yourself. I guess that is an entirely different discussion for a different day and a lot more beer. So, what else do we have that needs to be painted red? Of course, we have the gun holster and a few other details. Oh, on meat. Yeah, meat is good. Meat is really, really good. More meat for everyone. Well, more meat for everyone who wants more meat. And people who don't want more meat should not be forced to drink it. Mainly because they won't appreciate it, and not forcing them to drinking it will leave more for the rest of us. So there, win-win. They'll be happy, we'll be happy, everyone's happy. And what is not to like? Yes, you heard meat. I actually, Friday, I think it was, yeah, Friday. I was just carrying a couple of things down to my basement, including the stuff I use for brewing meat. And then this guy just rolls up on the street, rolls down his window, is in his car, shouts, "It's honey time," or something like that. He said it in Danish, obviously, so he said, "Here's there's honey," or whatever. Bad translation. So I have the next batch of honey. Oh, thanks, Tone Deaf. Well, patience is one of the things you need when painting, I guess. But for me, it's just something I've been doing since I was a teenager, and since I also enjoy playing the games, it just makes sense to paint the miniatures as well. We all know that painted miniatures play a lot better than unpainted miniatures, which kind of explains why I lost Friday, because I actually, even though I had a painted crew, I also played against a mostly painted crew. So there's no help for me there. So yeah. Oh, Rex, I don't know if I'm sweet, but I definitely eat a lot of sweet stuff. I generally just prefer sweet drinks as well. I guess beer being the main exception, because I actually also like that. But mead, rum, not much for whiskey, again, because I find it not sweet enough. And that obviously, yeah, thanks Tone Dev, thanks for the lurk, I appreciate it, and again, thanks for the raid. It's always a pleasure being raided, especially by you guys. So no, but talking about being sweet, what nation has the sweetest inhabitants in all the world? Oh, who are the sweetest people in the world? It's a really, really bad joke. I don't even think it qualifies as a dad joke. It's so lame. We need that red on this guy. Something up here. Exactly, Rex. The Swedes. Terrible joke. But there you have it. you win the chance to brag about being good at guessing really bad jokes. So bragging rights for that, for Rexy. Oh, also Rex, did your computer ever actually finish downloading Vermintide? It did. How wonderful. Someone spilled red on the sheath. Probably wasn't me. Streaming Vermintide. I don't actually stream games as such, but if you ever wanna play on a stream, I wouldn't mind joining. Actually, when I started streaming earlier this year, I kind of tried streaming computer games at first, but I found that I'm either not good enough at the games to actually keep an eye on chat and talking as well. I would just shut up and play the game, or I would just have my eye on the chat and then play the game insanely horrible. Plus, I actually really want to use the streams to get myself to the painting table a lot more. So that's where I'm sticking. So that's me. But as I said, if you ever want to play and you want to stream it as well, I'm all up for that. I have played other games with other people on streams in the past, and it's always fun to hear people's comments. Yeah, so despite being a very avid gamer, I don't feel like streaming the games. Oh, these scarves are horrible to paint. Thanks for stopping by, Em. Enjoy your meal. Knowing you, I know it's gonna be awesome and wonderful. So enjoy that and say hi to John for me. And if I don't catch you later today, have fun playing board games. I hope you win. And a shout out. Can I get someone to do a shout out for the Incorrigible Party? That's where the channel where Em and her husband John will be streaming board games later tonight. It's always fun to watch them. They have so much fun playing it, and it just rubs off when you're watching them. Do I even have? I probably haven't gotten the bots set up or anything like that. I'm not good at the whole technical aspect. So let's see if we can do. Well, I could probably find out. So we'll just do it the manual way. Is that it? Yeah, Emily beat me to it. Let's just do it again. Good measure. So there you go. One of those links should take you to their site. Go say hi to them. They'll be playing in about 3 hours, I think. So if I'm still awake by then, I will definitely drop by. And yeah, hope to see a lot of you other guys there. So see you there, Em. Enjoy your food. Oh yeah, right. It looked a little off. Anyway, see you, Em. Thanks for stopping by. Now would also be a good time to do a small plug for the Incorrigible Party podcast in general. It is a very, very nice and very extremely well produced D&D campaign podcast, where Emily and some of the other people, Bill who stopped by earlier, they basically they record their D&D sessions, and their Dungeon Master Leland edits all of it. It does a great job of that. They all do a great job at voice acting and things like that. And they've been running for close to 2 years. So they have, I think they just reached episode 116. Got released to those of us who are fortunate enough to support them on Patreon and get early access to their episodes. And in addition to all of that, every third episode they throw in an after party, as they call it, where they talk about the last 3 episodes and what went wrong, what went well, and all those things. So there's a ton of things to listen to there, and their adventures have taken them all over the small, well, you know the kind of role players will get this. It's a small place, but it's very large. A lot of things happening, but geographically it's not that big, which is a good way of doing things if you're starting out in your campaign. I'm not sure this is a good place to be painting red. But there was a color from a shirt sticking up, so it'll have to do. It kind of sort of blends in with where his neck should end. But anyway, we'll just give him a little bit of color here. And I warned you that I would be ranting, so that's what I'm doing. He's got a funny smile, though. Can you actually see his smile? Looks a little sort of like, not entirely like the Joker, but that kind of sort of impish, devilish trickster smile. So, pretty much there we go. That's him done. So, and yes, experience has taught me that I need to put my minis off to the side, otherwise I will knock them over at some point. And as fun as that might be, let's not do that tonight. Also, quick tip to everyone out there, don't forget to drink some water. It is important to hydrate, even in winter, as we have up here on the northern hemisphere. So, on to the leather. Getting that painted up. So, now as I was talking about earlier, I was a little bit delayed on stream tonight because I wanted to get the Sentinel Highlight done, and basically it was necessary because I had, well, not necessarily doing the Sentinel, but necessary to prime something because I didn't actually have any miniatures ready for painting, and then it just dragged on a little bit and I got delayed. Blah blah blah. That's me in a nutshell. But I just want to talk a little bit about airbrushing. My hands are not steady enough, and I don't have sort of the eye for actually painting models with the airbrush. I tried it a few times, but it's just, I don't hit the right areas with the paint, and it just looks strange and creepy and horrible. I mean, I can do it sort of as a base coat kind of thing for if there's a miniature with a large armor or other kind of sort of clothing that I could do a general airbrush effect on and then work around it. I've done that in the past with at least some success. But for priming the miniatures, it is really great because here in winter in Denmark, it is often not that cold. I mean, we had a few cold days about a week ago, but now we're up to about 6 or 7 degrees centigrade again. So it's not like we have hard frost or cold weather like that, but it is humid like crazy over here. I shit you not, it is so high humidity, and the 6 to 8 degrees centigrade is actually still a little too cold for rattle cans, and the humidity makes it impossible really to do proper rattle can priming on miniatures. So I would either have to prime a lot of miniatures throughout summer, and then not buy any miniatures all winter. That's just laughable. Me not buying miniatures for half a year. Forget it. But what I can do instead is use my airbrush, which I actually got for an entirely different project. Didn't even consider it could be used for miniature painting until I actually got back into miniature painting at roughly the same time, and then saw a lot of people talking about painting with the miniature airbrush and especially priming them. And the priming process, as experienced miniature painters will know, is basically when you take the raw plastic miniature and cover it with a layer of paint. Sometimes it's slightly different formula they use for the primers. I think the Vallejo ones I use are a little different in the blend or mix. I'm talking about these ones here that I use. You can use them with a brush, even though they're good for airbrushes as well. But just do that so you actually have something for the proper paint to bind on the miniature. And with a rattle can, it's just plop all your miniatures on the last piece of cardboard or whatever, and just go down. For me, I would have to go down in the basement at this time of year, and that's really bad because there's no ventilation in there, so it just hangs in the air. Smells like crazy and probably also melts your brain. So be careful if you do it. But the airbrush I can actually do in up here, right here at my desk, my work desk. So I have a spray booth to take care of the overspray and the fumes and small particles that are thrown into the air. Well, not fumes as such, but I mean small particles of paint will be floating around, but that gets sucked into the spray booth. And I have a collapsible one that literally takes about 30 seconds to set up, which is why I actually managed to Sentinel Highlight 5 models, including setup, breakdown time, and cleaning the airbrush in about 25 minutes. I think that's, I mean, compared to having to do the whole rattle can thing, where to get the rattle cans to work properly, I usually have to shake them for a few minutes first. Instead, this is just, pull out the spray booth, flick it open, get the airbrush, run some air into the, run the compressor in to get air into the tank, and just thin down a little of the primer with some thinner, and you can get some flow improve. You can get various other chemicals you add to the paint to have it flow more evenly through the airbrush, or you can just water it down. That also works quite well. So basically just that, and then just get painting in about 2 minutes or so. And so yeah, I paint or prime one miniature at a time. So if I had to prime like if you had to prime something like Zombicide with about 80 miniatures, sure, it's gonna take a lot less time with a rattle can approach, but I don't know, I just like being able to take a few models like this and actually just spend my time priming them and not running up and down to the basement, not prepping them on a piece of cardboard, not having to wait between different layers of paint. The rattle can paint takes, for me at least, longer to dry than the acrylics I use here in the airbrush. So for that reason alone, I actually really like my airbrush. I can prime my miniatures indoors in my room without having my brain corrode too much, at least. Yeah, I like to think that's a good thing. So what else? Yeah, this is a guy who actually ended up with a lot of red on him. So let's just do his. I think they're called Bandoliers. I think I said exactly the same thing in another stream. So if you say something often enough, we know that from this post-factual society we've been living in for a while. We know that if you just say something often enough or enough times, it becomes true. So this is now a bandolier. Except that I actually think it is. Anywho. So, me being me, I'll just skip right back into D&D as a topic. Because while thinking about what to play with my nephew, I remembered that I recently actually dug out a very old set of Danish role-playing magazines that has a small old school D&D adventure set in a town. And in many ways, you can call it a dungeon crawl, because you have numbered locations in the town that the adventurers are probably going to go to. So instead of running around in a dungeon and going down a corridor to room number 8 or whatever, you are in the town, walking along the streets until you get to house number 8. You know, that kind of thing. But it's set out in the open, so hopefully it will have a more sort of open world sandbox feel. I can always throw that in. I can always make things sandboxy, and I want to teach these kids that sandbox games are really fun. I mean, that's the way to go, if you ask me. But don't ask me, because I'll just say what I feel is right, and whatever you feel is right for you. So, the usual disclaimer: you should play games the way you want to play them. That especially holds true for role-playing games. So. I just like doing the sandbox games, and I think starting them out in a town like this is probably going to be a really good idea, because it will let me sort of build a community where they get to know some people. So you have some NPCs you can throw in, instead of just having either random monsters that some people like to use, or whatever is in the dungeon. So I'm talking too much and painting too little, but I guess that's why I'm streaming. So I think that after about 25 or more years since I bought this, probably closer to 30 actually, I should check the publication date at some point. But it might actually be 30 years old magazine, with an adventure that I will finally be able to run. So that's 17 Danish kroners well spent 30 years ago. Which I guess in dollars is about, well, it's less than 3. I know that much. So you can here with the avoid shaking tips, pressing my finger against the base here means that even if my hands do shake, at least they'll be shaking together instead of shaking like this. So when I have to actually hit the tip of the brush into a small area, it usually goes a lot better. Usually. So yeah, so running that is hopefully going to build a base that we can run other adventures from. And as I recall, the adventure, it does feature demons, but it's not sort of scary, spooky. It's not like if I did a Lovecraftian horror game with them. That would be seriously, that would be messing with their minds. So not gonna do that. But yeah, we'll just have some fun, play some games, and if they like it, we'll play some more games. So other upcoming things, if you have actually checked out the schedule I've made for the Twitch streams here, you'll see that I paint every Wednesday and Sunday at 7 o'clock CET. But I think that this Wednesday and maybe also next Sunday, I will not be streaming miniature painting. I will most likely be streaming some 3D modeling. Next weekend, actually starting on Wednesday, but not fully starting until Friday afternoon, we have the Global Game Jam, which is a recurring event that happens once per year. One of many game jams throughout the world, where the goal is to create a computer game in a weekend. And since I'm really busy with work and these streams and other things, I haven't really felt like signing up as a part of a team because I'm not 100% sure I will actually fully participate and dedicate enough time for it to be sort of a contributing member on any kind of team. So I'll just be doing it solo, which suits me fine. But that also means that in addition to programming, which is my proficiency, that's not what I call it. I write computer programs as my day job. I have dabbled a little bit in 3D modeling from time to time, but never really gotten completely good at it. So I need to get those skills brushed off a little bit. So I figured, why not do a stream where I do low poly 3D graphics while ranting. So yeah, so that is gonna happen at least this Wednesday, and the game jam begins for us in Denmark at Friday at 5 o'clock. I think it's a little spread out over the world so people don't have to start in the middle of the night. Time zones, being a bitch and all that. But we begin at 5 o'clock on Friday. And then it lasts for 48 hours, which means until Sunday at 5 o'clock. And then I can just take a quick break and then be ready for streaming at 7 Sunday evening. And by that point, I should probably have a lot more 3D modeling done. So I should be a lot better at it than I will next Wednesday. But hey, I figured after a weekend of doing that, it might be nice to just wind down and have a chill evening session with you guys. So yeah. And I have no idea what I'll be doing. The way this game jam works, as far as I understand it at least, they have a theme for it that will be revealed Friday, shortly before the event begins. So we don't actually know what theme it is. And in other game jams that I've been in, the last one was several years ago, and before that we're probably talking decades. But one of them, the theme was basically just ancient technology. And anything that fell into that would be okay. So I made kind of a first-person view controller catapult. It's not called a catapult. A large bolt thrower, I think it's called. Sort of catapulty thing that fires large spears at ships sailing by. Did a little bit of really crappy work at doing a coastline, and the ships spawning, sailing, you can shoot them and they would sink. That kind of thing. So my ambitions is to make something that's playable, just have fun, and most of all just chill, chat with all the other Danish people and people from all over the world, and get a little bit back into game design and game programming, which I absolutely love doing, but don't spend nearly enough time doing, because I choose to do other things instead, like actually playing games or painting miniatures, which is silly, really. As for other things, game related for the game jam, I think I'm about 99% sure that I'll be using the Unity editor for it. Partly because it is a good editor, but also because I actually had the pleasure of working for Unity just over a decade ago, back in 2008, 2009. And the people I met there are absolutely wonderful people. Really kind, open, basically just the wonderful kind of people you just love hanging out with. So yeah. So to me, using Unity always reminds me of those days and always brings a smile to my face, even when it's frustrating as hell and I can't get things to work like I want it to work. So for personal reasons, I'll also be using the Unity editor. Yeah, and it is a good engine, and it's a fun thing to play around with. You can actually pretty much make a game without really making any kind of code for it, because you have a lot of event systems in it. You have the physics engine. You could make most of a pinball game if you were okay with the built-in physics, with the limitations they have. You would actually be able to make most of a pinball game, the core mechanics of a pinball game, without really doing any code. And the little bit of code you would need to do would be so little that you would either be able to find scripts already doing stuff like that. You wouldn't have to learn, shall we call it proper programming. You wouldn't need to learn how to make all kinds of data structures and all that. You just have to learn the really simple mechanics of using the Unity interface to add a force to the flippers themselves, and the physics engine would take care of the rest. Now, the limitations of the physics engine would probably mean that the ball would go through the walls once in a while. So anything more than that would, well, you would probably have to do some fairly hard and detailed work yourself, but you would be able to get pretty far with just the basics of these things that already come with Unity. So yeah. So if you have an aspiring game developer inside of you waiting to come out, or if you just want to see how it is, I mean, for these game jams, it is also really important to have a lot of playtesters. It's important to have people who can do graphics, 3D modeling, 2D graphics, audio, musicians, all kinds of artists really are appreciated. I mean, I can do a little bit of 3D modeling on my own, but 2D graphics and doing proper textures, get it. I'm never gonna be there. Also because I don't really have an interest in doing that. The same with music. I think we had Tone Deaf dropping by. I think that would have been a very fitting name for me as well. I did take piano lessons for 4 years or so when I was a kid, but the only thing I learned was this note is this key on the piano. I didn't learn anything about music, and I haven't learned it later on in life. So yeah. So that there is that. If you want to be involved in doing computer games, game jams are really wonderful places to begin. It's gonna be frantic and crazy, and if you do go the whole let's not sleep for 2 days, it's also gonna be hard as hell. I have way too much gray in my beard to stay up for 2 days straight. I could do that when I was earlier. No pressure on you young people, but when I was your age, I would do it without sleeping. So yeah, I mean, get involved. It's called the Global Game Jam. I think it's just globalgamejam.org. You'll be able to find it really quickly. And go sign up. Find your local hangouts in non-corona times. One of the really important things is actually for people to be sitting together in the same room doing this. That's where the jam part comes from. Imagine musicians joining up for a jam session and just playing their favorite instrument and making some creative work from that. Here is just use your favorite tool and make a game. So yeah. So now it looks like I might be able to also finish the light brown color on the other models I have ready, and that seems like a good place to leave it for today. Then the next step would be the skin. Might be able to fit in the skin tonight as well, but other than that, we're pretty much on to your corrections, then we're on to shading, and then we're on to shading and highlighting. And then of course the coats, I will save those until last, because the contrast paints, I think they're wonderful to work with, but they can also be a little bit tricky. And if you mess them up later on when you're painting other areas of the model, it's really difficult to fix up the contrast paint as well. So yeah, so because of that, I will save that until the end. And if I do get the contrast paint out into the other areas, I can always just repaint those. So yeah, so that is the plan. And yeah, in about 30 minutes, we'll find someone to raid. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. Not really taking a look at who's online. I'm guessing Corpse is not, since he was here just before. Oh, I should probably mention, as you can hopefully see up in the left corner, that the music we're listening to is, as always, the very talented Adrian von Ziegler, who makes, I think, really great atmospheric music. These ones are, well, they're not from his Celtic collection. That's the other playlist I have. I think it's the album called Veiled. You can go look him up. He's on YouTube, he's on Spotify, all the usual places, blah, blah, blah. Apart from him making really, really good music, I also like the fact that for streams like this, you can actually just use his music for free, according to the texts in his videos on YouTube. And when people do that, I think it's so wonderful. I mean, he does make a living making music. And if you have, if you wanted to use it for a movie or a full game or whatever, a commercial project of some kind, then he wants and should get royalties, obviously. But for hobbyists such as myself, it is so wonderful to actually have high quality, high bitrate music available to use on something like this. A lot of people use, it's called Harris something, who do the stream beats. It's also a cool project. I just heard it used so many times that I think it's nice to have something else. And then as I said, I just love Adrian's music. So, and since I use it so much, it's also why I did what I believe is the right thing to do and support him on Patreon. So if you're interested in something like that, go check him out. Go have a look, see, support him on Patreon, buy some of his albums. I think he's on Bandcamp, that's what it's called. So yeah, plenty of ways to do that, or just listen to it on YouTube or Spotify or whatever. I often use it as background music for role-playing games because his albums are generally running on the same kind of theme, so you won't have a lot of changes to the pace or style of music within an album, as you can also hear in the background here if you've been viewing for a while. It should be nice and relaxing and quiet. There may be a few numbers here, songs here. Well, not songs. What are they called if they don't have song in them? Tunes? Music numbers, whatever. They're generally relaxing, falls into the background quite easily, but prevents the silent tracks. Yeah, Modifian to the rescue. Thank you, Modifian. But yeah, the tracks are usually within a single CD. They're of the, yeah, and I keep hitting the camera. Of the same style of music at least. So there's a theme going, and for role-playing games or background music in general, I really like that, because then I don't have the whole, oh, now we switch to something that's 200 BPM going insanely fast and no one knows what's going, to death metal, to weird ass pop ballads, to whatever. Here you pretty much have consistent music, and that to me is important. So yeah, so go check him out. Well worth doing. But oh yeah, in addition to the streams on Wednesday and Sunday, I actually considered doing a stream while during the game jam. I don't know if people would be interested in that. That wouldn't be me in general to, in general just chatting like this. It would be more focused work, but just firing up the stream would be an option. Let's see, Wohan writes that he finds music in streams annoying most of the time. So then the question is obviously, do you find it annoying, the background music I have here? Too loud, too quiet, just annoying that it's there, or what? I appreciate the feedback. I may not change anything based on your feedback, but I appreciate it nonetheless. No, Modifian says that I keep it nice and subtle, she agrees with Wo most of the time, but that the music I use, I guess it's music I use that isn't offensive, or maybe it's just me that's not offensive. But of course I'm not offensive, Modifian. That's what I have you for. It's fine with some ambience in the background, but it shouldn't be anything more. Yeah, that's exactly the thing I'm going for here. Something that doesn't change too much, but I also think it is important to avoid having, periods of silence. Like if I'm focusing on a small bit of painting here or dotting in the eyes, if I ever actually do that again, then I think it's really important that it doesn't go completely quiet, but that you can always hear a little bit of something. So yeah. Yeah, and Will says that if he wants music, he'll put some on or go to a music stream, which I guess counts as putting it on. So yeah. And that's true. I mean, I do know that me having music running on stream makes it difficult for people to listen to whatever they want to in the background. Or what I sometimes do when I'm watching streamers is I sit and play games. And if there's too loud music in the streams, it gets really frustrating because then I can't hear the game sounds, I can't hear the game music, as well as the streamer. So that's why I'm trying to keep it really low. Yeah. And what if you say I keep it at the appropriate setting and so on? Yeah, I get you. I get you, Modifian, on that one. So okay, so nice to know I'm not completely off. And yeah, and I get the whole having multiple sound sources from games, streams. I sometimes to help people try to follow more than one stream at the same time, which can be done, but it's a little tricky. Oh, I'm starting to lose my concentration here with the painting. That's fine. Just a few things that need to be cleaned up. But anyway, yeah, if there's too loud music going on, I mean, one thing is sounds from a game. I can actually kind of deal with having two games running in the background, or two people playing different games running in the background. For some reason, my mind can actually filter that quite well. But if there's music involved and I have two different music sources that are too loud, and I'm trying to do something like either paint or play a game or whatever, and it goes, oh, I cannot do that with too much music. So that's also why I want to keep it subtle, but prevent the total silence. And yeah, I have a pretty aggressive computer fan going at the moment, which may actually be filtered out by my mic settings. But I don't think a computer fan is better than silence. In many ways, it's worse. So yeah. Yeah. Well, turning game music down depends on what game it is and how well made the music is. I will often turn it a bit down, but I like if it's done well, then it actually gives a lot to the overall gaming experience. If they have the right soundtrack that switches tracks whenever you go into combat or wherever, then the audio experience can really, really do a lot to support the game as a whole. So, and yes, handle several sources, says Rohan, as long as they're clean. And yeah, oh yeah, so the ambient music. So. I think we're down to his gloves and the sheath on his back. And I really, really regret gluing the cape on him. But yeah. Doesn't matter, we'll still get him painted. And Rohan, we will get you playing Malifaux as soon as we can with the Corona shutdown and all that. I've learned lesson for next time. Yeah, and Modifian, actually, I've not only learned it, I've also started using it. If you saw in the beginning, I showed you, as you've also seen the miniatures I'm painting, this guy here, his cape is lying over here. And the reason it's only one of them whose cape is off is that I assembled the two others and then I went, no, I should not have glued on the capes. Should have glued my fingers together instead of gluing the cape and the miniature together. So lesson learned. Or, well, not for next time, but for this time, actually. Yeah. Rowan, did you actually hear what Sirincal did for Malifaux? He got his huge backpack from Feldherr, which is a company that makes foam trays and bags and carry bags for miniatures. So he got a full backpack with filled with foam trays and is packing it to the brink with Malifaux miniatures. So he's got, I don't know, I think 8 or 10 different masters, which is crazy. It's like about 100 miniatures or so in total. So he's got a full bag where you can actually play so much Malifaux, and of course he's just picking out the good masters, the ones he wants to play, and then putting together some crew options for them and all that. That's really wonderful. He's kind of got the same collector's habit that I do. The whole, oh, now I know this exists, so I have to have it. And then he's just as crazy in the sense that building this Malifaux bag is a really cool thing. Also because he can actually bring it and just do demo games for people, and just go, oh, what kind of master do you want to play? Do you want to play someone that's really shooty or brawly or complete trickster type? So basically he's got eight or so different styles of play in that bag, and you can just have it ready to go. Just bring it somewhere instead of having to actually pack it up. I think that's a cool thing to do. That's also a very, very dedicated thing to do. But hey, it's fun, and it will hopefully help him and other people's play more Malifaux, which I obviously think is a good idea, a good thing. So we need his sword. But I mean, again, look at that billowing cape and that stance. It's just It's one of the reasons I keep going back to telling you guys how much I love these miniatures. They've just got something to them that I miss in other games. And I can't really, be more specific than that. That maybe it's just the don't give a fuck attitude that they have, and it goes for all of their factions really. They're so present. Their drama and attitude. You get a sense of character. It's also because, I mean, these ones here, the 3 ones I'm working on, are generic miniatures called Pistoleros. But even so, there are 3 different Pistoleros, and the stat cards they've made for them show the 3 different models. Their face and their stance on the card itself, meaning that it is not just a Pistolero. It is actually this Pistolero. The guy with the stance, or this guy here who's about to draw his sword, or this one going, "Follow me, I have a map." And you should never follow people who say that, because we always did that in various, I think, computer games. Be like, network games back in the day when we did LAN parties. They'd just be, "Follow me, I have a map," and then they would promptly get lost. So I think that was the sheet, and is a little bit more on the gloves. And then we are also about to come to the end of today's stream. If I can find the parts here that wasn't painted. So in a little bit, I will go find someone we can raid. Please stick around. Hopefully it will be someone fun to watch. And give them a shout out, say hi to them. People always, we appreciate it. Us who stream. It's nice to have people drop by. Not just because it boosts our viewer count, which it obviously does, but also because it's just nice to meet new people. That's how I met Rex and Corpse Throat and Tone Deaf and all the other people. Miss Chameleon, who also does wonderful art, by the way. So yeah. Hey, Corpse is still there, lurking in the back. But anyway, this is where we ended up. I always get this kind of, it doesn't look like much if you're just looking at the models, but it really just is, it's a really good start. I mean, the cape and all that, it just goes on with contrast paint, which means it takes not very many minutes per model. So that actually finishes up pretty quickly. I need the hair, I need the faces done, and hopefully within a few streams, or maybe before streams, since I'm doing 3D modeling, I may actually finish them. Then it's on to the monster hunters, not bounty hunters. This guy here, he's got so many details that I probably need to rethink my color scheme for him. And the one I'm really looking forward to painting is this one. She looks so incredibly badass. I think she's gonna be really, really fun to paint. So, but let's see who we have online. If anyone have any suggestions, you are more than welcome, of course. Oh, great, Scott, you're still here. Thank you. Appreciate that. And yeah, if you're painting miniatures, you know that sometimes, the base coat, getting it to cover properly, can take a while, especially since I'm chatting and I'm not really, speed painting in any way. I know people who would have finished 3 or 4 or 5 models completely in the time it's taken me to half base coat these. But yeah. Oh, cool. Nice of you to do stuff for your wife. I'm guessing dinner of some kind. So, bon appetit. And shower rack to build out of frustration. Okay, well, apparently I only know one other channel that is what's called live at the moment. Thank you, Corpse. I love watching you play as well. It's so fun. So what we will be doing now is we will be joining the Key Frogs. The Key Frogs are two of the local Copenhagen Keyforge players. Keyforge being a new game from about 2 years ago made by Richard Garfield. Isn't that his name? The guy who did Magic the Gathering. But they are trying to keep our community alive for when the Corona opens again. So I think we should go and give them a lot of love and say hi to them. I will put on my headphones so I can hear what they're saying. I'll also turn up the volume a little bit. And as always, I really appreciate you stopping by. It's been great fun. I love having you guys here to give me advice or silly comments or whatever. And as always, don't forget to keep painting.